Welcome to the Storytelling with Saad. Our today's story, The Owl Who Loved Sunshine. It's the second part. Chapter 2. At first, Linder couldn't bear it. The daytime world was so bright that it made his eyes water, and he had to look away. He flapped to a trunk that stood at the far side of the attic. There was a pair of spectacles in the trunk, with dark glass in the frames. When Lender put them on, he could look at the sunshine quite comfortably. Lender opened the shutters and sat on the window sill. He saw that the sky was blue instead of black. There were no stars and there was no moon, but there were puffy white clouds. Until now, Linder had seen only dewy meadows and were silver in the moonlight. Now he saw green grass and trees and a sparkling brook, and everywhere he saw sunshine. After a time, Linder took off the dark glasses and flew down to the parlor where Magdalene was napping on top of the bookcase. Good morning, said Linder timidly. Magdalene opened one eye. Ooh, it's me, Lander. That's who, said Lander. I came to find out about something. Excellent. Magdalene opened both eyes. What is it? I want to know all about sunshine, said Lander. Sunshine? Magdalene quivered from the top of his head to the tip of his tail feathers. Sunshine? Whatever made you think of sunshine? Sunshine is a dreadful thing. It's it's vulgar. It is, said Lander. All sorts of common creatures go about in the sunshine, said Magdalene. Owls never do. Forget it that you ever heard of sunshine, ordered Magdalene. And go away, it's too early for lessons. Lander went back to the attic and closed the shutters. He perched on his hat rack and stared straight ahead. And he tried to sleep, but he couldn't, for now he was thinking deep thoughts. He was thinking about the sunshine. He was wondering how sunshine would feel on his wings if ever he dared to fly out into. Linder didn't mention sunshine again, but day after day he wakened early and washed the dust motes dance in the sunbeams. Then he flew to the trunk and put on the dark glasses, opened the shutters, and looked out at the warm, bright meadow. At last he did fly out. He flew as far as the tall oak tree that stood at the edge of the pond. He found that sunshine was warm on his wings, and he saw that the meadow was a busy place in the daytime. Birds flitted back and forth, calling to one another. Rabbits tended patches of lettuce and carrots. Lander saw a pair of meadow mice push a wheelbarrow through the grass. They were gathering seeds. A comfortable family of squirrels was having a picnic with hazelnut bread and wild honey set out on a red checked cloth. Lander saw an old fallen log in the middle of the meadow. A merry, noisy group of youngsters played leapfrog in the clearing around the log. He saw a stout, stern old badger come out to the log and ring a bell. Then the game of leapfrog ended. The young animals trooped across the meadow and into a huge hollow tree trunk. Presently, from the window of the place came the faint sound of a little chipmunk announcing that two carrots and two carrots made four carrots. Landers saw a raccoon on the far side of the pond. Some were fishing, some had crab nets, and they were wading in the shallow water. There were frogs in the pond, too. They were climbing onto lily pads and diving off again, splashing one another and croaking playfully. A beaver came out with some twigs and a bucket of mortar. He was going to fix a leak in his dam. It all looked so nice that Lander stayed in the oak tree until the sun began to set. Then he hurried home to his attic, closed the shutters, and perched on the hat rack. He stared straight ahead and pretended to sleep. The others, owls who lived in the house, began to stir. Come, come, Lander called Magellan, the old owl who knew so much about the stars. It's getting dark. You can sit there all night. Lander sighed. He flew to the window and opened the shutters. The sky wasn't blue anymore. It was black, a proper night sky for a proper owl. The moonlight had turned the green meadow to silver. All the daytime animals were gone, snug in the tunnels and dens. The night Lander flew through the darkness with the other owls. He knew the night sky was beautiful with its sprinkling of stars, but he thought the blue sky of daytime had been even more beautiful, and Lander suddenly felt that the night was cold and empty. Chapter 3. The next morning, Lander sat on his hat rack and waited for the sunbeam. When it came, he put on his dark glass, threw the shutters wide, and flew out of the meadow. And there he stayed all day long, watching the happy, scurrying animals. At sunset, he went back to the attic, and when darkness came, he flew out with the other owls. After many days, Lander's eyes grew used to the daylight. He could sit in the meadow without his dark glasses. He was very pleased about this at first, but soon he found out that when he saw well in the daytime, he didn't see well after dark. Proper owls must see well after dark, so Lander had to be careful. He was afraid that he would bump into a tree or a steeple as he was flying. Lander was tired too from staying up all day and flying abroad all night. He took a falling He took to falling asleep in odd places. Once he fell asleep in church tower. He was there at dawn, when a band of bats returned from their night flight and chased him out. Once he fell asleep in a barn. A flock of swallows who nested three there woke at sunrise and pecked at him. Several times Slender arrived home in broad daylight. The proper older owls were waiting. You were lost, Magellan would scold. You forgot to watch the stars. No wise owl is ever out after sunrise. Plato would tell him, what are you thinking of? Linda couldn't tell them he was thinking of sunshine. When the other owls had gone to sleep, he dozed on his hat rack. Sometimes he told himself that he would never again go out into the daylight. It wasn't worth it, he would say. Beside, proper owls don't do it. But every day the sunbeam came stealing through the chink in the shutter, and every day Linda remembered the blue sky and the green grass as a warm sunshine and flew out to the meadow. One afternoon, Linder sat too long in the oak tree. He had to hurry to get home before dark. He swooped through the windows into the attic. Linder, said a harsh voice from the top of the attic stairs. It was Magdalene. Oh dear, said Lander. You are a disgrace, declared Magdalene. Lander knew that was true. Unnatural owl, exclaimed old Horace. He was perched on Lander's hat rack. He looked very angry. Plato was sitting in the rafters. Who? He demanded. Who taught you such tricks? You never learned them from us. Lander tried to explain about the sunbeam. He told them about the warm sunshine and the blue sky and the clouds. Most improper, said old Horace. You must promise that you will never do it again. But Lander couldn't promise. He knew that the sunbeam would come into the attic again, and that when he did, he would fly out to the meadow. Well, declared Horace at last, if you're so fond of sunshine, you can jolly well get a good dose of it. At that, the owls shooed Lander out of the attic and slammed the shutters behind him. Like, share, and subscribe our channel, Storytelling with Saad. Thank you.